Good morning, student. I am Professor Sunita Sirsak. Today, I have brought you new topic for you on education by Jitu Krishnamurthy. I hope you will listen this topic very silently as well as by paying attention. First of all, we are going to take information about the narrator Jiddu Krishnamurthy. Jiddu Krishnamurthy and his insight into education. The picture of the Valley School's 33rd birthday celebration is by Nagarjun Kanskuru and is reproduced here under a Creative Commons Attribution 2.0 generic license. It was sourced from Flickr. The Valley School, established in 1978, is one of the five schools of the Krishnamurthy Foundation, India. The Valley School's birthday celebration, established in 1978, it is one of the five schools of the Krishnamurthy Foundation, India. Jiddu Krishnamurthy and his insight into education. Scottish pop Forbes explores Jiddu Krishnamurthy's 1895 to 1986 emphasis on education as a religious activity. That is from a presentation at the first Holistic Education Conference, Toronto, Canada, 1997. For most of Jiddu Krishnamurthy's life, what he said and wrote sparked both interest and controversy. He observed his observations on religion, nationalism, tradition, organizations, and relationships often ran counter to the convention of the day. If they are less startling today, it is either due to effect his insights have had on common consciousness or an indication of the extent to which he was ahead of his time. But Krishnamurthy's insight on education are still radical and frequently misunderstood and dismissed as impractical. This is probably due largely to the fact that Krishnamurthy presents education as religious activity in an age when most people still see it as preparation for succeeding in a secular world. Throughout the ages, sages have warned us that we can't see what is true even when it is present to us because that which is true isn't what we expect or want to hear. The traditional Western symbol for this is choosing barbers, choosing what is familiar or most like us over what is true and sacred. This is as true in education matters as it is in religious one. Modern education is so obviously failing to solve the world's problem, is so rightly criticized for not meeting society's aspirations, and is so clearly unable to prepare people for the fundamental challenges of living. To solve these problems, we seem to need educational insights that marry the most profound learning possible with the everyday, the subtle with the mundane, or to put it another way, the sacred with the secular. I feel Jiddu Krishnamurthy's insights into education are such a marriage. I feel they are radical, that they meet the challenges of living at a profound level, and they do so at a time when such insights are desperately needed. Of all the many subjects that Krishnamurthy addressed in his more than 70 years of writing books and speaking in public, I believe it is Krishnamurthy's insights into education that most people will eventually feel has had the greatest effect on the world. Jiddu Krishnamurthy's near interest in education was long standing and always passionate. And what is perhaps his first book, Education as Service, which is written in 1912. We see his concern for education and the introduction of few themes that remain in his work. We hear the voice of 17-year-old Krishnamurti writing from his heartfelt experience when he says in the foreword, "Many of the suggestions made in this little book come from my own memories of early school life. Have myself experienced both the right way of teaching and the wrong way, and therefore I want to help others towards the right way," which Krishnamurti has written in 1912. And for the rest of his life, he did try to help others towards a better form of education. Picture of G.D. Krishnamurti was sourced from the Wikimedia Commons and is reproduced under Creative Commons license to address my present theme, which is that for G.D. Krishnamurti, education is a religious activity. I will need to say something about topics I would much prefer avoiding. Partly, I would prefer avoiding them because in the space of this lecture, I can say only too little to do them justice. I would also prefer avoiding them because any coverage of these topics, no matter what space was available, would probably be contentious because Krishnamurti did not explicitly define position. Instead, his understanding is interwoven throughout his work. This is further complicated by the evolution in his manner of expression that occurred over his lifetime, so that two comments taken out of context and separated by decades seem to contradict each other. Though taken in context, they are not contradictory. He did not present his insight in traditional intellectual forms, which would have made summarization easier. Consequently, we are left with a kind of translating Krishnamurti's work, which is partly append into an expository presentation, and as with all process of translation, something is lost, and those who know the original see the loss and rightly complain. It would be far easier to say what for Jita Krishnamurti the religious or religiousness or religiosity isn't than to say what is. One very specific thing that isn't is any part of any religion. Krishnamurti felt that what is sacred or truly religious could not be conditional, culture bound, or time bound. Consequently, he felt that what is religious could not be contained by or subject to any dogma, belief, or authority. Krishnamurti's approach to religiousness, that is free of religion, would be an interesting subject for those concerned with the challenges of values, morals, religious education in today's pluralist world. But it is not a subject I can address here. If that which is sacred cannot be related to dogma, ritual, buildings, authorities, or symbols, then what does man have that can make contact with the sacred? Krishnamurti felt that the bridge from the secular to the sacred is particular consciousness. It is consciousness that sees things as they are, one that is free of the distortions of conditioning and free of the limitations of thought while still employing thought. It is consciousness that has transcended the imperatives of the self or ego, so knows compassion or selflessly. It is consciousness that knows silence and sees beauty and lives joy.